Here we go, 7-4. The initial bit, the preface. Starts with the vero, so you can just leave that out. Illa pars. This part, egregia, so it's a special type of cunning, caliditas, and from all reprehension, it is remote. Procol means far, so it's far remote from any type of reprehension. Of whose work, of which works, because there's an asterisk here which says Latin, because his appellation, this name in Latin, is scarcely apt to be expressed. There's nothing suitable like to express it in Latin. It should be called, in the Greek pronunciation and the Greek words, stratagema, and it starts with omnibus militaribus copis. Okay, so stratagema, the name of this chapter, is stratagems. Tullus Hostilius agressus. He attacked Fidenus, proper noun, with all these military forces, which, with these frequent rebellions, there's a ablative absolute there, did not suffer to be lethargic, the incubula nostrae imperia. This is the cradle of our empire. So, when the emperor was still young, these frequent rebellions were not suffered to become lethargic. Blah blah blah. We've got the trophies they've got from fighting neighbours, Finitimus. These are places on the borders of where they're at, of the Roman Empire. And alatem means nourished, so it looks like virtue and valour were nourished. So we had trophies and triumphs we had from beating these neighbours here, the Finitibus people. And they docuerent, they taught us to infinitive, to move. They had a hope, they had a spes, which is hopes were teaching them that they could move their empire ultius even further out. And so to start another sentence, we've just got a comma. Metius Fufidius, he was the dux of the Arborians. He was dubious and suspect, semper always, in his fides, with his trustworthiness in their society and with their alliances. He repente suddenly, when they were in the battle itself, he detected all these the doubts and things he'd been suspected of. Deserto here is also in other texts detecto, meaning uncovered, or nidato, laid bare. So they're all about desertion and laying bare. Roman laterae flanks. So it looks like there's an explanation for Enum. Having deserted, uncovered the Roman flanks of the army, fourth declension, he was consetting. He was sitting in a proximate hill and in a nearby hill. Instead of being an adjutor, instead of being a helper, he was a speculator. He was watching the future of this fight, of this battle, so that either the victors people, those who were beaten, he could insultare it upon them, he could jump upon the people who were beaten, or he could adgreditor, like this up here. He could adgreditor, he could attack the tired victors. Non erat dubium quin. There was no doubt that quin is aligned with dubium. It's a special case. And ea res, in this matter, this would debilitate the animos, the minds of our soldiers, or their enthusiasm, in their confidence, when in that time, ea dem temporo, they head verbed, they cernerented, they saw that they were going to have a conflict with the enemy, and with auxiliaries, they were deficient in them, because they were sitting on top of the hill. It's also in Livy or Florus, I believe. Itque, and so, lest id fear it, lest this should happen, Tullus foresaw something. He took action in advance. That's the pro. For a reason here, he considered his horse, he spurred on his horse, and he percurred, and he ran through all the globs of the fighting men, and he was present participant. He was predicans. He was shouting out that by suo iuso, by his own order, Metius had succeeded or come to the side, and he, little clausulet, when he himself gave the signal, he would invade in future the terga, the rear of the fedinatiums, whatever that is in English. Okay, these people are called fidinates in English. Okay, quo conciliae. By this plan of imperial art, he mutavited, he changed fear, metum, with confidence, fiducia. And instead of trepidation, he replevited, he filled up the pectoras, these are like the hearts and the chests of his own men, with enthusiasm, alacritate. And 742. Etne continuo, and lest I should recede continuo immediately from our kings, saying just in case I'm not mentioning our kings, Sextus Tarquinius, the Filius Tarquinius, the son of Tarquinius, he was bearing something indignantly that with the forces of his father, they were not able to, nequerent, to storm expugnare gabii, whatever that is in English. And he excogitated, he thought up a more valentorium, a more stronger rationale or method with arms, on which he could add to the Roman dative, to the Roman Empire, this town. So intercept them, they're going to take this town. Subito namque. For suddenly, say himself, he contooled, so he took himself to the Galbanini people, tamquam, just as if, by the savagery and beatings of his parent, of his father, he perpessus erat. He had suffered, and he was going there of his own free will, voluntate sua, fugiens, fleeing. And little by little, gradually, paulatim, I'll leave that for now, fictus and composers. So fictitious and things he composed, which are blanded, his flatteries. Ad licendo, he sort of lured in all of them into one sort of mind, it looks like. Benevolentum, that's goodwill. So he had the goodwill of these people. So that apud all of them, with all of them, he followed this up. He was able to follow this up a lot. He had familiarity, so he'd gained their confidence, and then he looks like he betrays them. He sent someone who would give an indication, so it's also like a witness or something, to his father. Quem ad modum, it means just as or how. He had cuncta, everything in his hand, and quid nams, what he wanted to happen a questurum. So he's asking his father this question of what he wanted done now that he'd infiltrated them and he had everything in his hand. Juvenae calidati, it's not nominative, that's not nominative. The astuteness of this senile old man, he responded, looks like, to the calidati, the cunningness of the juvenile, of the young man. So this astuteness of the old man responded maybe equally to that of the cunningness of the young fella. Si quidem as a sense. Tarquinius was delectatus, he was very happy, extremely, with this matter. However, he parum credens, believing the trustworthiness of this message, he nihil responded. He responded nothing, because he wasn't really believing it. But he seducted the messenger into the garden in Hortum, and the Maxima and the Altissima Capita. So these are the greatest and the highest heads of poppies. He decusseted with his baculet like a walking stick, which would be where that phrase cutting down the tall poppies would come from. Okay, so that's what's going on. Nearly done. So here's the daily dictionary, torpore, from one of the first lines. Being numb lethargic, that was the expanding of the empire. The adolescent, cognito, knowing, or the silence, similac, could mean as soon as or the same time, he understood this fact, this deed, and the cause of the other, which is his father. So he knows what this silence means, and he perverted, he saw the argument of the other, so he saw what was needed. Neither was he ignorant of what he had been instructed. Takes the dative. So that the most excellent, most prominent. Whom was the most prominent, most influential or powerful of the Gabonorians? Or either he should remove them into exile or consume them with death, which is a funny way of saying, or have them killed. Okay, therefore the city that had been taken, the spoils of the goods of these fighters, people who were fighting of this city, he handed over with their hands victors, tied up to him, to his father. Tantum doesn't really mean a lot there, so that's that.